It's my go-to.
Hey Facebook, you're tuning into a live. Clearly, I love podcasts. Clearly, anything that's talking.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another new episode of A Whole New World, where we're here to put a spotlight on positive things happening in the community and developing that positive mindset. I am your handsome and debonair host, Jacob New, and as always, we love to start every episode with a dad joke. So, how do you get a squirrel to like you? Act like a nut.
Boing, boing.
Yeah. I am so privileged to have with you guys today Alicia Chocolate Watson with us. So thank you for being on the show again.
Yes,
Hey.
thank you. Thank you for having me back, my friend.
Sitting here dancing to the music reminded me when we got our wedding video back, and I really got to see how bad of a dancer I was. So I was like, oh, yeah, I think I might just stick to sitting in a chair.
Yeah, just sit down.
So, man, so much has happened since the last time we had you on the show.
I know, so much in the world. I mean, it's all
That was
the things.
pre-COVID, yeah.
Yes.
Now it's like literally all the things.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. I mean, you name it. Yeah.
So, how's everything been going with Redeemed Women?
Everything is good with Redeemed Women. You know, COVID has not stopped our mission and our movement. COVID has just amplified the systemic racism that has always been there and the challenges that have always been there in this underserved, under-resourced, forgotten community. And you get to see it on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And which is allowing me to have more conversations with those that are willing to have them. And so yeah, and but as far as our presence is, we still have a strong presence, and the work is being done.
I love it. And for our listeners out there who might not know what is Redeemed Women.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Jacob. Redeemed Women is a 501c3 nonprofit serving women in the South Dallas neighborhood, but really beyond. Our home office is in South Dallas, so I like to explain South Dallas so people can know, because everybody says Oak Cliff and all these things. I'm talking about the old Fair Park area, South Dallas.
Okay.
And so that is where this ministry is. South Dallas is a poverty-stricken community, impoverished neighborhood, which I grew up in impoverished communities my whole life, so I know all too well what this looks like. But our mission is to raise up women to overcome generational poverty. I grew up in generational poverty and made it out, and saw that there was a need in my neighborhood, that I can speak to the need because I can directly identify. And so started this nonprofit literally 3.5 years ago. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That long. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I do want to ask, you said that it amplified the systemic racism. So I know things take time, but are you seeing things starting to look like they might be getting better, or is there...
Oh, that was the question.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Sorry, I kind of trailed off there.
Yeah, no, I thought you were going to another question,
No.
so I didn't want to interject without listening to you first. Do I think things are starting to get better? I guess yes and no. There comes a point in time where it is just not okay to not do the work, not ask questions, not act like nothing has happened, which means that you got to get uncomfortable, and it requires sacrifice, and it requires doing life together like how me and you do, which a lot of people say that they want to do, but they don't show up to do that. But then the flip side is there are people showing up and saying, hey, like, I want to seek to understand and I want to listen. And Chocolate, will you talk to me about some of these things? And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, right? Because it's at my time. But so I would say yes and no. I think there's a lot more work to be done, and it doesn't stop just because of what we just recently saw in the news. There's a lot of layers to peel back. I always like to use the banana effect, right? You got to peel back the layers, right?
Yeah.
So there's layers, and especially in my community. You know, I live and work in my community. So I'm a CEO and exec of a nonprofit, but I'm also a resident of a community that I identify with. And so for me, things impact me on a whole nother level because I saw this my whole entire life. And then also to be doing the work in the community. I'm like, enough is enough. Like, come on with it.
Yeah. No, and that's for we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Where, like, I didn't grow up in a poverty-stricken community. I grew up in Plano.
Yeah.
And
in the bubble.
In the bubble. That's,
you know, I like to joke with you because I got some Plano friends, so, you know.
We in a bubble.
I know.
People tell me, but like, nah, I'm not in a bubble. And I'm like, I'm in a bubble.
Right.
Like,
but it's okay.
Yeah, and
it's okay.
It is, but it's not okay to not continue learning about it or just act like it's swept under the rug and just things are getting better and I'm not participating. Like, I'm still reading up on stuff and trying to just personally digest things myself.
Yeah. Right.
And so
you have to.
Yeah. And you know, it's just, what are some things that we could do to help, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's no, I'm going to just, you know me, Jacob. Mm-hmm. I'm just real. I'm real in my own,
love it. I love
in my own way, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't have a right or wrong answer of what white people can do to help. Yeah. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
I don't have a right or wrong answer for that. But what I will say is I am a relational person. Me, Chocolate, I'm highly relational. And I will call you out if you ain't doing life with others that don't look like you. That's to me, that's how you learn how to help. Because once you do life with others that don't look like you, you learn, oh, like this is their reality and this is mine. And then it gives permission to say, like me and you have talked, Chocolate, you know, X, Y, and Z. And then I can say, oh, no, Jacob, you can't say that. Or, yes, Jacob, do this. Or, Jacob, you wasn't invited to that, so don't show up and do that because you really wasn't invited to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But that comes with relationship. And so I tie everything back to relationship. If you are not in relationship with others that don't look like you, i.e. me and you, we don't look like each other in skin color, but we don't look like each other in male and female, right? Yeah. So we get to learn different things about each other and the realities, and we get to have fun when we're doing it, really, at the end of the day. And so it means you got to get uncomfortable. I mean, I drove, where we at?
We're in
Addison.
Right, just a little bit north of the Galleria.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I live in South Dallas.
Yeah. And I live out in Wiley.
Right. So but I'm saying driving up here though, right? Yeah. That means that we do life together.
Yes.
That when you called me, it was no hesitation. I was like, yeah, pencil me in. I'm there. But that's because we do life together, and we have relationships together, and we talk, and we get to understand, and we seek to understand, and we believe the same God, and hey, that gets us in the door just automatically, right? Yes. So I think people just need to be intentional about doing life with others.
I love that. And when this all started, I had posted a video, but it reminded me of a scripture where they asked Jesus, what's the most important commandment? And it says, first, love God above all else, and then love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah. And I think if we be more intentional about loving other people, I think we'll start to see things start to get better.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you think about, his commandment of loving others as you love yourself. My thing is, like, when I think about me being hungry, if I'm a foodie, and if I know that I love to eat, how can I see my neighbor be hungry?
Yeah.
Right? How can I see the cycle of poverty continue? How can I see? And in like the U.S., like, where we got billions and billions of dollars, and people still on the street homeless, and
they're still hungry.
Yeah,
and like it's because I teach in Plano as well, but there's still quite a few Title I schools there. And there's a lot of students that come in that are free and reduced lunch. And so it's maybe not living in the same conditions, but there's still not, there's that food poverty going on.
Exactly.
And so it's just a different kind.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, man, honestly, kind of gives me the chills.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, but what's great, though, is that people are out there and doing things.
Yeah.
And I believe we met through a mutual friend, Leticia Diola, who does Fulfill Project Inc., who works to solve that.
Yes, yes.
I just love when people, they see a need in their community, and then they're able to be the ones that come and do it.
Yeah.
And it's different. I know you said that you live in that community.
Yeah.
When the help's coming from within the community than somebody coming in.
It is.
So,
I mean, because I take ownership, right? Because I live here. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy for Jacob to come in and support me and love me and empower me. But I'll take a little bit more ownership because I'm not going to drive in and drive out.
Yeah.
I live here, you know.
You're like for sure committed at some point. But you already have like that relationship, that trust with your community.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so that's one of the many reasons why I admire you and what you do, because then you said 3.5 years, and I have no doubt it'll go on for 30 and a half more years.
Yeah.
So
global is what this is.
I love it.
Redeem Women going global. Yes.
We're all gonna be chilling at the well.
All at the well. Yes. Love it.
So I do want to kind of bring the conversation back to Redeemed Women. And talk about your the vision. And so since the last time you came here, we've talked about developed 5 pillars, and those are gratitude, resilience, acceptance, integrity, and mindfulness.
Okay.
And so one of the things when I think of Alicia,
what? You
I
said
think,
it right.
yeah, I did. I pay attention.
Okay, thank you.
I just 2 of those really jump out at me. I mean, I feel like you have all those qualities, but especially the resilience and the integrity, because you talk about being real.
Yeah.
But the resilience, and I know last time we were here, you said you've had cancer 3 times, bone cancer twice, and breast cancer.
Yeah.
And so you've gone through that. You've gone through. You grew up in poverty.
Yeah.
You've gone through so many different bad situations, and I've read your book, and I'm kind of like hesitant because I don't want to share all of your story.
It's fine.
You know,
yeah.
and so I know
I give you permission.
Okay, because but like, and I know you were raped. Right?
Yeah,
yeah, and so. See, this is an uncomfortable
I
conversation
see.
for me. You know, like
Jacob, you gotta man
up.
Here like,
shoot,
you gotta we already friends now.
You know, like, when I think of that, the resilience behind that, and how you're always smiling right now. What is it? How did you develop that? Like,
yeah. So I mean, it's
how did you get there? I guess.
Yeah. God. Okay. Short answer. Long answer is I had a praying grandmama, and my grandmother on my dad's side. And, you know, it's one thing to be raped. I started being raped at 5 years old. To processing this, then for people that say they love you to rape you, then to processing this, and then going through depression. And luckily, I had a praying grandmama that said 2 things to me. She said, baby, you need to learn how to forgive and forgive. And I was like, no, not happening. Not doing it. And my grandmother died when I was 17. I was a senior in high school with a 2-year-old. And I went through a bout of depression. I've been through 3 big depressions in my life. And this was my first one because my grandmother was a rock. And I grew up Southern Baptist. And so I began to play those words back in my head over a 5-year period before going to counseling, and just crying out and asking God, what did he want? And he reminded me. He said, well, your grandmother already told you what to do. You need to forgive. And I'm telling you, when I went through that season of forgiving, the chains just broke free. Like literally, you think about being shackled, and I've never been in jail. Thank you, Jesus. But I'm imagining, being shackled and tied together and in bondage, and it was just like a freedom that I had, and I was just like, you will not win, devil. You are a lie. And I know he came to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
But not this one. So that's what helps me smile. And I was a single mom, so I had to stay strong for her,
That's beautiful. I mean,
you speechless right now. You're like, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. No. Because we've talked about forgiveness a couple of times on the show.
Yeah.
And it's never had like a story as powerful as yours to kind of give kind of like proof. Proof.
Yeah, tangible.
Yeah. And when you talk about the weight going off, does that help? In all situations, are you able to forgive?
I would say yes, but I would say that it takes time. Okay. And this is my opinion.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I would say yes, you are able to forgive. You should be able to forgive. But I will say that takes time.
Yeah.
That's not nothing that happens overnight. And people that beg to differ, then that's on them. But to me, it took a little while. I mean, my dad raped me. I was raped by, family members. I mean, so this was personal.
Yeah.
This was personal, where I almost wanted to commit suicide. So that wasn't an easy pill to swallow.
No.
And so did it take some work? Did it take some mentoring? Did it take some therapy? I swear by counseling. And, thank God that he gave me the best counselors in the world. But I also know why black people don't really go to counseling. 95% of counselors are white. We don't have people that look like us that we can go to and talk to. So that's hard to process. And then you don't always get the help that you're looking for in the church because you're judged. Yeah. Well, girl, don't say nothing. Just don't even worry about it. Sweep it up under the rug. No. So, I mean, there's layers. So, yeah, I do believe that forgiveness is an option. I don't believe that forgiveness is easy to do. It takes time to do. And everybody have their own way of doing it. Mine took a little time. And I was angry and bitter kind of pretty much my whole life. But God.
Yeah.
But God.
He's amazing.
He's so amazing.
I will say that.
Yeah.
That is, wow. So, I'm gonna flip it just a little bit to, so with COVID.
Yeah.
And so what is it that helps you to kind of keep upbeat through COVID and through all the systemic racism? Like how is it that you're able to kind of, is it still forgiveness, or like if something financially comes up, how do you kind of?
I think what helps me is the fact that I'm grounded in the truth, right? And so because I'm already grounded in the truth, because of like church is shut down right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already grounded in the truth. I hide a word in my heart. So when we've not been able to go to church, I can pull it out. I can some scripture memory. I can just recite one. I can give you one. I can give myself one. So that is what gives me hope during this COVID time. But I also think what gives me hope is the fact that I have a team around me that I can cry, that I can cuss, that I can have my wine, that I can, be who I am, be authentically chocolate, and just be like, look, Jacob, I am struggling, and I'm having a hard time, and you better go to Jesus on my behalf because right now I can't. And I thank God that I have a strong husband that loves me dearly, that prays for me and over me. And luckily, we're both believers, so that helps. And when I'm weak, he's strong. When he's weak, I'm strong. But I do have people that I've given permission to speak positivity in my life. And when they see me falling short, when they see me struggling, they pull my coattail, they pull my collar, and they say, Chocolate, come on back. You falling off. Come on back. They tell me to go rest. Because I've grinded so hard in the last 3.5 years, and then COVID amped that grind up even more. And so they say, hey, what are you making time for? What are you doing? So I've had to go cold and I've had to go silent without having to explain that to anybody. I'm like, look, I just need to rest. I need to come away and be with God.
Yeah.
And be quiet and just not talk so much because I talk too much, So those things help me. And I have cried, Jacob. I have cried harder probably than I've cried in a long, long time since the wake of COVID.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really like as you're going through that, like I can almost just feel like all the emotion that is coming through.
Yeah.
And I just love how you're just so open and
yeah.
Like you embrace all the emotion.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just this is my time for this. This is to be sad, happy.
Yeah.
And so, and that's one of the things another thing I admire about you. We're going to talk all about the things about that we admire.
I'm the guest, so you should. Thank you.
And when you say you're real with people, you are real. Like
I am very much real.
I have no doubt. 100% when you say something, you're like, "Oh, hey, nice shirt, Jacob." Yeah. Like, "Oh, thanks."
Yeah,
you mean
that's what I mean. Yeah,
you know,
I'm definitely that.
Yeah, and it's not going back behind people's backs, and so, and I just have such a respect for that authenticity that you have, and so, is it hard to be authentic all the time?
For chocolate now, no. But for chocolate 10 years ago, yes.
Yeah.
I was embedded in people pleasing. I used to be a big time people pleaser, and I cared about what everybody had to say, think, do, matter, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, Jacob, there's just some times in your life where you can go through some things and you just be like the bleep with it. And I'm working on my cuss words.
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate it on the podcast.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But so the chocolate now, it is not hard for me to be authentic. I am who I am, morning, noon, and night. I wake up like this. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be authentic because what I have found is not a lot of people are willing to risk what others think about them because they are the real them, you know?
Yeah.
And it comes with a level of judgment. No matter what people say, there is a level of judgment. And so if I just show up and be who I am, you never have to worry about me. Yeah, I'm that girl. I love Jesus. I might cuss every now and then, although I'm working on it. And I love a good cocktail. That's me.
Nothing wrong with that. You know, like,
yeah.
I think we all like a couple cocktails.
Yeah, So
that's awesome. And so what I'm getting though is like it's just kind of hard to get over that initial what people think.
Yeah, I think so because you know sometimes we grew up in families where we always had to do what they say do and you know wear what they say, date who they say date. You know, don't act like this and don't talk like that. You know, I mean, you know, there's so much in the world that we end up people drive this car because this makes you look, you know, prestigious or whatever. And so there's just so much of that going on. And after a while, when you wear that so much, you just get tired.
Yeah.
You're just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm over it. Like, yeah. And I get that. And oftentimes, resources are tied to people pleasing. Mm-hmm. You know, so because if you don't do what I say do, then chocolate, we're not gonna give you that check for Redeemed Women to grow that program because you didn't do it the way we said do it.
Yeah.
So resources are tied to people pleasing. Friendships, of course, because people look different and we come from different backgrounds. And so, I didn't grow up in the bubble, so we can't be friends, right? Which is a form of people pleasing because that would be, probably, I'm not saying this about your family, but probably your family would be like, so why are you friends with her? Like, y'all don't come from the same. And then you would have to people please to be like, you know what, Chocolate, I can't even be your friend right now because my family don't understand it, you know? Yeah. And so there's just so many things that tie back to that. And after a while, you just have to say, well, I mean, it's not even worth it, you know?
Yeah. Definitely, like I think there's a lot of pressure that comes from family.
Yeah.
And because I mean, and when we grow up, that's where we get our values.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them, that and the people we hang out with.
Yeah.
Most.
Absolutely.
But even though I'm in a bubble, I've done my best to kind of pop holes in the bubble and get out. And so,
which is what I love about you. I must say. Kudos to you on that. And I think, I'm telling you, as many times as I done been on your podcast, if I didn't think you was the real deal, I'm just looking you straight in your face. If I didn't think you was the real deal, I would not have come back.
I appreciate that.
Truth be told, yeah, I would have not come back because guess what? I don't even though there's nothing to gain outside of our friendship, but like no other transactions. But if I didn't care about our friendship and if I didn't care about getting to know you, I would be like, no, I'm not going back there. But I care about, that's the difference with me, Chocolate. I care about getting to know people. Yeah. I care about respecting the differences. Those things matter to me, and it's okay. It's okay to live in a bubble. I'm cool with that because I get to be invited over. So it's all good.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Yeah.
And, that's one thing, if my parents are listening, I do want to say thank you because they did raise me to see people as people.
Thank you, parents.
Yeah. So, I'll just when you look at somebody, think of them as a person first, you know?
Yeah.
And an opportunity to get to know others. Yeah. So, what is it? So you've gone through so much on your journey, and I just wanted to kind of ask, we've talked about being authentic. Why, besides counseling, what else kind of contributed to who you are and as authentic and real as you are?
I would definitely say, like just my team. Like I have a strong team around me, all, from different backgrounds. I do life with people that don't look like me, and like with people that do look like me. So that helps. And then, just my trust in God. Like, Jesus sat there, he met with the people. He came down and he was like, "What's up, y'all? What y'all doing? Like, let's do life."
Yeah.
And then he called us out, and he's like, don't do that. And so if I'm modeling what was shown to me, the great picture of what was shown to me, I'm like, well, he was the realest that you can be. So let me just be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he took naps.
Yeah. And he rested.
Yeah.
He went away.
Yeah, he went away. He rested. So there is something to be said about
that part.
Taking that time. But I think it is important though, like, because I think, like you said, we do, because of all the pressures, a lot of us are going out there kind of like on autopilot, just kind of going with the herd,
Yeah.
And for us to kind of free ourselves and be authentic and have that kind of like that freedom, because it feels like there's a weight lifted off of you.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as forgiveness, but I do feel that there's something that happens when you don't have to really answer quote unquote to other people. So that's what I thought about that.
Yeah. I like your thoughts.
Yes, I know, right? I have occasional good ones,
Yeah, occasionally.
But I do have another question that I did want to ask.
Yeah, please.
And so, and I am going to bring it back to Redeemed Women.
Okay.
And I want to talk about your vision for Redeemed Women.
Yeah.
What can you let our audience in on the vision that you have for Redeemed Women, and how did you come about developing that?
Yeah, so Redeemed Women, not the name, but the ministry birthed it in me, was always a vision from early on. It's been 12, 13 years. I was in a domestic violence relationship early on in my life, and that was crazy. On top of my levels of poverty, right? Cancer and homelessness and abuse and, all the things. Baby at 14. I mean, you name it. You read the book.
Yeah.
But for me, I lacked somebody walking alongside me to empower me for greatness. I learned about a baby when I was pregnant. I learned about birth control after I had the baby. So I lacked the discipleship is what I would like to say. And so for me, I just knew that I would always want to give back in some kind of way because I know that I saw women struggling like me, like my mother that has 8 kids. I'm the oldest of 8. So I saw my mother struggle. I saw my mother use drugs my whole entire life. I saw my mother not being able to feed us, right? And so for me, I was just like, wait a minute, hold on. This has got to change, which, again, is generational. So my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, and me, we all, 4 generations, we all had a baby up on the age of 16 years old. And I'm like, okay, the buck has to stop here. 1, because I wanted it. 2, but God. 1, but God. 2, because I wanted it. There's no other way around it, right? I know who my identity is in. I know whose I am, and it's in the Lord. But when I think about those things, I'm like, okay, God. And then now, fast forward in my life of Him sending me mentors and being discipled and counseled and all that. How can you not pay that forward? How can you grow and mature and be like nurturing and all the things and not give that back out? So it was already in me, but then through a series of events, i.e. having cancer, I was laying on my deathbed and I told God, said, Lord, if you save my life, I'll work for you. And He did. I was out of the hospital. I had surgery on a Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. I was out of the hospital the next morning, Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Wow. Unheard of. Yeah. Normally you stay 5 to 7 days in the hospital after having a double mastectomy with no reconstruction. And I was like, I got work to do. And because I lived in an impoverished community where I already come from anyway, I'm like, okay, let me look at what's around here. What are the resources? Well, then living there, I realized there were no resources for me. So I see that there are no resources for other women trying to grow. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, Lord, the Lord gives us direct calls. Everybody have a different task. And for me, God boldly said, I'm going to need you to stand up for the poor. I'm going to need you to be a voice. But you know how He say, take care of the poor and the widows? Yeah. I'm going to need you to go do that. And don't get me wrong, I didn't want to do that. But that's what He called me to. And I said, okay, if I want to be obedient here, then I got to do what He's called me to. And so that birthed up the vision of Redeemed Women to raise up leaders from this community. South Dallas is 86% black women with no resources. We are a food desert. We're a transportation desert. We're a laundromat desert. We're a childcare desert. I mean, you name it, right? Education desert. You name it. And so for me, I'm like, okay, this organization will address some needs, but the first need we're gonna address is the relational need. Because if I show up to Mary Jane, and Mary Jane is a single mother, I'm not showing up as a Bible beater. I'm showing up to Mary Jane saying, Mary Jane, oh, you have a baby? And she's gonna say, yeah, I had this baby when I was 15. And then I'm going to say, Mary Jane, you know, I had my baby when I was 14 years old, and my daughter's in college, and she's not a baby mama, and she's thriving, and she's working. And Mary Jane is going to say, how? And then I'm going to tell her about this God that I serve and how awesome He is and how He's called me to let people into my life to steward me and disciple me and walk alongside me to achieve greatness. What you see in me, Jacob, is because I've allowed other people to come into my life. So now I'm called to go back and pay it forward. And it's nothing that I did. The glory goes to Him, the blessings fall on us is what Gabby Douglas said. But it's nothing that I did. I just get to be the middle person that He said, go do the work, go build relationships, go raise up leaders, go talk about generational poverty, go empower women that have children to let them know that their kids can go to college, that their kids can achieve greatness, that they can work and have thriving jobs and still live in the neighborhood. All these things, and I still live in my neighborhood. You know, they can be homeowners, you know, and all of these things. And so it's like, how can I not? And so when I think about the lack I also go back to my story directly resonates with the women that I impact, that I get to come alongside every. It's an honor and a privilege. It's an honor and a privilege. It's nothing that I did. They invite me in, and I just say, hey, I'm here for you. And there's no story that I don't understand. So, and the long-term vision of that is to see women being raised up, to take back their neighborhood, to put me out of business. I should, not have a job. I don't want it. Yeah. I don't want, because I hold Redeemed Women so loosely. The Lord said, I'm going to surrender, it's His. I just get to be a vessel.
Yeah.
I'm just only doing what he asked me to do. But if he takes it and gives it to Mary Jane tomorrow, I'm going to say, well done. Like, I did what he asked me to do. I planted the seed. I've watered some. I've seen some grow. Some I've only planted the seed. Some I've not seen them grow, and I've not been able to water. Because everybody won't grab hold to the vision, right? Everybody, it's hard. It's hard, you know. But there will be some that will. And like I'm just glad about that. And so our dream is to provide the educational piece. That's something that we can address. We can't address everything, but we can address the educational piece. What does it look like to show up for an interview on time? And like on time meaning 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
Like when I got here to meet with you, Jacob, I was 25 minutes early.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be on time. I wanted to plan for traffic. I wanted to go to the ladies' room, powder my nose, you know, all the things.
Yeah.
Well, there's the educational piece that comes behind that. Somebody got to teach me how to do that.
Yeah.
Somebody have to teach me what to wear, you know, and so those are the things that, you know, we come along. And addressing that spiritual need. Somebody has to teach me how to journal before I can even read the Bible. Somebody has to teach me the different versions that speak to me, like the Message Bible speaks to me really well, or the ESV speaks to me really well, because it's broken down in layman's terms where I understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So somebody had to teach me those things. So we address those needs on a relational level, and everybody learns is a case by case. Everybody learns at their own pace. But man, if I tell you about the victories of, you know, in the last year, 5 women coming to Christ, and 2 graduates just graduated high school and going to college.
That's awesome.
Paid for through Redeemed Women. Not just going to college, paid for. All you got to do is just show up. Like, really? You know, when I think about things like that, or how to show up on time, because we have accountability measures. And I'll call you out. In love, I'm going to call you out. Or how to say, you know what, get up and, you know, put the kids down at 7:30, 8 o'clock so they can have a good bedtime so they can be ready for school the next morning. Don't let them stay up to 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. But then I get to go back to my own story of being a young single mother and saying, you know what, my daughter went to bed at 7:30 and she was ready and alert at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
When it was time to go to school, because she went to bed at 7:30. Oh, Miss Chocolate, she did? Yes. And that's why she's a straight-A student, graduated with all honors from high school because of these measures. But somebody had to teach me.
Yeah.
I take no credit for anything. So my thing is with Redeemed Women, somebody has taught me. Now I'm called to go teach somebody else. And then when I get through teaching somebody else, they're called to go teach somebody else. It's called disciple making. That's what it's called.
I love it.
Yeah.
We need more disciple making out there.
Yeah.
And I just love how you just pour into other people.
Yeah.
And I know you said a lot of people have poured into you, so that's what you're called to do. And I think that we all have that responsibility to just kind of pour into each other.
We do. We definitely have that responsibility. The problem is what people would say, out of sight, out of mind. So once I know, then I have the responsibility to fulfill. So it's better for me not to know, so I don't have to go and fulfill.
Yeah.
So,
which is not a good way to live life.
No,
you know?
Not at all.
Oh man, time has really flown by.
I know.
But before we start wrapping up, do you have any closing comments or any one last bit of wisdom you'd like to partake or leave for our listeners out there?
Yeah, I will leave the nugget for the day, and I know you're gonna put this in your notes, but you know I bring my own media setup over here. So I would definitely encourage people to go on our social media platforms and also check out our website, redeemedwomen.org. And Redeemed Women Dallas on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Watch some videos. There's some educational stuff there. Check out the website. Get involved. And put your money where your mouth. This is the challenge. I'm being real. Put your money where your mouth is. Make a donation. Get involved. Like, Redeemed Women is a 501c3 nonprofit. I'm just going to be real. I know some people looking for some tax shelters right now. Make a donation so you can fall in line. Like, I'm just going to call it out. You know, one of the things that I know that there are some very wealthy and generous people. But what I do also know is that they don't know that Redeemed Women is boots on ground. They don't know that we are in the community making an impact. Because we're not on Time Magazine. We're not in D Magazine. We're not on these commercials. So we get swept up under the rug a little bit. But I'm telling you, there's probably nobody in my community that don't know me and that I don't know. And so I'm challenging people, you know, even if it's a one-time gift. But I encourage people to become a monthly partner at $20 a month. I like to make things very, very tangible. So you bought my book, and people can learn how to buy the book at chocolates at redeemwomen.org. That's my email, and then I can give you the information. But things as tangible as my book. My book is $15, and $15 pays for a birth certificate for a woman that's trying to get legal identification. $11 is the birth certificate and $4 for parking. That's $15. So every time you buy a book, it goes right back into the ministry. Things like that. Yeah. But on our website, there are a list of things that you can do that fits into your price target, if that's the right word to say. I don't even really know if that's the right word. Yeah. I'm not being politically correct now.
Price target, price range.
Yeah, all that. But I definitely say when I think about living out the gospel and I think about Acts 1:8, Judea, Samaria, and all the ends of the earth, ministry starts at home. So we are called to take care of our neighbors right here. No shade on Brazil and Guatemala and all the places, but there is poverty right here in our own backyard.
Yeah.
There's poverty right down the street from us. There's poverty when we look out the door. There's poverty probably next door to us. We just don't even know it. And so here you are. You have somebody that's saying, I'm inviting you in. Please show up. And guess what? That don't matter what color you are. Green is all the same color. Yeah. So this is true. Yeah. So that's what I'm challenging people. I'm challenging people to get involved. Come do a tour. Again, you can email chocolate@redeemwomen.org. We have an Amazon. All of that is on there. You can shop. You don't even have to come down if you don't want to. You can just click the link from your house, and it ships directly. How easy is that?
That's easy.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And buy some tissue and paper towels, because people don't know. Food stamps don't buy these items. Our community is low income, which means they get government aid. This government aid does not buy tangible things that we take for granted, Jacob.
Yeah.
Tissue, soap, paper towels. They don't buy those things. How do I know? Chocolate, how do you know?
How do you know?
Because I got food stamps before.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I know. Not just even the people that I've impacted. I've eaten government cheese. I've got food stamps. I've lived in housing, the projects. I know what all of these. I've been without a car. I am not brand new. I know what riding the city bus is. We give door passes. We do these things. So that's what I'm encouraging people to do. And ask questions. It's okay that you... The one thing that I will say is that definitely God has called me to bridge the gap. And I'm okay with that. And I know people take a different stand, but I'm okay with bridging the gap. And so it's not on me if you don't know. It's on you because you didn't ask. That part.
Very true. Yeah, part of it is you have to ask the question. So, wow. So, y'all... reach out to go to redeemedwomen.org.
Get it right, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And even the smallest things can help make a difference in somebody else's life.
And book me to speak. I just want to say that too. Yeah. Book me to speak. I do all sorts of speaking events, from podcasts to church events to corporate events, lunch and learns. If you need your team on your staff empowered, I can do those. I've done many different things. So I travel because I don't got no kids at home. You know, she grown now.
She in college.
Yeah, she in college. She doing her thing. And my husband's a truck driver. So, but book me to speak, to be encouraged live and in person. I have not had any side work since COVID. So, them pockets are a little short right now. Yeah.
Really balling on a budget,
right?
So, thank you so much for agreeing and coming to be on the show again. As always, I love our conversations, and I'm so grateful that we get to have them.
Yes, thank you. I look forward to seeing you before the end of the year, because I'm coming back. Got some news to share before the end of the year. Oh. So it's not public. It's not public news yet.
So we can't share with you guys yet.
Yeah,
but it will be coming soon.
Yes.
So, thank you, everybody out there listening. And as always, if you only learn to do one thing, learn to make a difference. Y'all have a good night.